Mourners gathering over the weekend in Celeste's hometown to keep her memory alive.
I didn't know her personally. I just want justice for this little girl. I don't want her to be forgotten.
Welcome back for a special episode of Allegedly. I appreciate you all joining me today and my wonderful co-host and friend, Antione Pecko.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, very, very good. Better than D4vd is today.
David, yes. Breaking news. Crazy facts that we're learning about this.
I know. We had a couple extra minutes here, so figured we'd get on the mics, talk about it, discuss it, kind of, get your feelings, get your takes. It's a wild one.
Right, exactly. So, David, which is D4vd, as he's known online, is this.
We should just pick one to call him for the purpose of this.
Sure, yeah.
Let's just go with David.
Let's go with David. Yeah, it's a little bit easier than D4vd. So David is this kind of TikTok celebrity. He's popped up online. He's going viral with his music.
Mm-hmm.
He's big in the gaming industry as well. And so he's really bursted onto the scene. Really an exciting experience. I think everybody really enjoying his following and kind of what he's putting out there content wise. He's puts out his first album. He's going on tour. I think he's at Coachella already.
And he was on tour.
Right, in the middle of his first tour. Yeah. And then we get this report that there was a severely decomposed body that was found in the back of an abandoned Tesla that was registered to David as well. And so that's what initially comes out. And now we're just learning more and more and more that's starting to come out of this, which is just fascinating.
Yeah, and it's, to me, while the information rolls out from a legal or from evaluating the evidence of, the idea of potentially bringing charges or linking him to this, but you get into what this artist calls his art, which is, his content. And I think there's some interesting stuff there that makes the reasonable mind wonder if some of this was, foreshadowed or discussed potentially in his music.
Right.
In this year prior, because I believe they say the body's probably a year old. I mean, Will, do we know, or Antione, do we know when they first reported Celeste missing?
So she went missing last year. So she's been missing for over a year.
So we would assume, based on what they said about the highly decomposed body, that's probably where she's been since she was reported missing. She's probably been dead over a year.
Yeah, and so she was 13 at the time.
Crazy.
When she first went missing as well. What's also extremely interesting about this too is that one of the things they're able to determine that this decomposed body was her was obviously DNA, and they also noticed there was a tattoo on her index finger.
Yes,
that said "shh." And if you look at David, the artist, he's got that exact same tattoo as well. So this is where it starts to get really interesting. Well, this is kind of a classic case, I think, of what we call circumstantial evidence,
yes.
Right? Kind of putting my old prosecutor hat on. Mm-hmm. You've got circumstantial evidence and you've got direct evidence. So direct evidence, let's talk about a murder. So direct evidence would be, there's a video of this murder occurring, or there's a witness that's going to say, I saw this murder happen as well. That's going to be your direct evidence.
Yep.
Circumstantial evidence is going to be kind of what we're dealing with right now. We've got a young girl that is found dead in a vehicle that's registered to David. Mm-hmm. We've got a young woman who's got the same tattoo as David as well.
Well, not just that. I think the mother of Celeste actually reported to the police that she was aware that her daughter, Celeste, was dating somebody named David at the time.
Exactly.
But to your point, it's kind of interesting, for the listening public out there. A lot of times, even lawyers fall into this trap, right, of thinking all evidence is created equal. It's evidence. No, there is some evidence that carries more weight than others. And I thought you were speaking to it very well when you're talking about direct evidence.
Right. And so that's what's going to be fascinating to see kind of what happens, because to me, we're just scratching the layer of what's going to happen moving forward. Police have not come out and said that he's a suspect. They haven't charged him with a crime as well, because they're still trying to gather up evidence, right? They're starting to kind of piece together. One of the things that they're trying to do as they're investigating this crime is try to put together a motive, try to figure out what's the connection between David and potentially Celeste. Now, I did read that there was a search warrant was actually done of the house where he was staying at, which was in Hollywood Hills, which was where the Tesla was found abandoned in Hollywood Hills as well. Part of the information there, part of the things that they are actually able to obtain was a laptop, amongst other things.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really interesting to see where there's any type of communication with Celeste. We're gonna find out. We're just getting to the beginning of this story, and it's gonna be really wild to see what's going on.
I think too, his reaction to this breaking news is, I don't want to say telling, but it causes the casual listener or watcher to pause, because when the news first broke, he was on tour, and I believe he was in Minneapolis at the time, and he went on to do the show, didn't address it, but then shortly thereafter cancels the remaining balance of his tour. And you have, I think, some of his sponsors, the folks that are involved with him on a sponsorship side, I think a shoe line, they've paused their campaign. I've seen some artists that have done some collaborations with them. They're also in the process of taking down their music and pausing their public relationship with him. I wonder how much more of this information is floating out there that's not necessarily in the general pub, in the public sphere yet.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm all about due process. Well, right now he's being charged in the court of public opinion, but it doesn't look good.
Right, and I think that there's a reason why the optics we're thinking about the optics, we're seeing the optics, and we're thinking, gosh, this is. There's too many coincidences that are lining up, right? This goes back to the whole circumstantial evidence. There's too many things that are starting to point to this potentially happening as well. Now, we're still a ways from that, which is why we haven't seen any type of,
Well, let's talk about how far we are from it, right? You've got a body in his car. Right now, and I understand they're saying it's not necessarily a homicide investigation. This could be some charge along the lines of, improperly disposing of a dead body if she overdosed or something. Like I get that. Well, that's strange, but you've got the dead body in the car, his car. You've got the similar tattoo. You've got the mother who has identified her daughter's dating someone named David at the time. I think. Let's just say they've confiscated his computer. There is some evidence there that they were familiar with each other or knew each other or had a relationship with each other. What else do you think you need for a probable cause affidavit to issue an arrest warrant?
Well, I just going back to the first thing that you brought up too is the cause of death. Right, we need to figure out what's the cause of death.
That's
was
very
this
true.
An overdose? Was this a murder? We need to figure out what was the cause of death first, to then say, okay, now we're dealing with a homicide, and then the next thing after determining the cause of death, if it was a homicide, is now starting to zone in on who could be potential suspects, and I think that's then where they're going more towards identifying maybe David and what type of contact that he had, what type of potential relationship. We don't know that. That's gonna come out, but we're definitely gonna find some information out, because I can almost guarantee that laptop has got some. It's got to have something on there, and especially somebody who's that big on the internet, on TikTok.
And I understand he's an overnight sensation, but if this does come out to be true that he did indeed know this girl, he had a relationship with her, this would have made him 19 at the time. What is he doing with a 13-year-old girl?
Yeah, that's another question for sure.
Kendrick Lamar should do a song But
I know you're a big David fan. Have you seen that music video from the Romantic Homicide? Will
Dude.
Play that. It's going back to the whole public opinion.
well, there's
Look at
been
this thing.
and there's been a couple trials recently where they've actually used rappers' lyrics against them in crimes. I mean, to me, this video, I mean, there's a scene where they're literally taking a dead body and putting it in
Ridiculous.
a car. And now I understand it's not a Tesla and it's not the front trunk, it's the rear trunk, but it's pretty darn close
Right.
to what could have allegedly happened.
Exactly. I mean, in that.
Play it, Will. Let's see it. We can chat over it. But the imagery is something. And then, I mean, there's scenes too where you're seeing like these blood-soaked T-shirts that he's selling.
Yeah, he's selling them online right now. He's just really leaning into that, dark soul persona.
And I imagine if you actually were to have committed a crime like that, I would imagine it would probably, haunt your mind.
Right.
This is a song that kind of speaks to a haunted mind. He's blindfolded, is singing about, I think you're dead in the back of my mind. Creepy.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
I mean, it's hard for me to see how you could shake something like this in the long run, but I mean, there are plenty of celebrities that have had interesting and strange things happen over the years, been involved, linked, or somehow attached to a murder scene that seemed to shake it off after a couple of years. But if I'm him, I don't like the way that this thing is stacking up.
Right, and I think kind of going back to this video, you wouldn't really think much of it. Okay, this is just his, this is his art that he's putting into this. It's a little, not my taste, but
No,
apparently it's very popular. But now you couple that with a body being found in his car that's registered to him, starts to get pretty dark, pretty ominous as well.
yeah, and the dates between.
I mean, look at that.
When this was released, and when this likely happened, based upon the decomposition of the body. Yeah. Wow.
Jeez.
Knives, blood soaked. Crazy. Not to say that like making music like this makes you a murderer, but if you're being accused of potentially being a murderer and you have made music like this,
Right.
I don't know.
No, there's a lot to that, and I think it's really going to be interesting too to just again to see kind of what starts to come out.
Yeah.
'Cause there's a lot more that's going to come out. With this Tesla, there's cameras on this Tesla too. I want to see what was captured potentially on those Tesla.
That's very
on those
true.
cameras too.
That is very true. There's a lot that's going to come out on this. I wonder what Nancy Grace has to say about D4vd. I'm sure she's got an opinion. Oh, yeah, she's got some facts out there, or she's got a statement out there. Interesting. They're tracking when he moved out of the residence where the Tesla was found near. He moved out the month after. Not him releasing this the same day she was born. How eerie. Whoa. Rest in peace. Crazy. I don't know. Let's try to keep up with this, though.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And kind of going back to the criminal side, as far as obviously he hasn't been charged with the crime, but just to kind of recap what the burden of proof is in these types of cases as well, and it's beyond a reasonable doubt, which is really the highest type of burden that you can have. Now, what we deal with in the personal injury setting is
preponderance of evidence.
Exactly. What's more likely than not? We say, just tipping the scales. Right?
For the layman, that's 51%.
So just more than 50% that it's more likely that it's happened than it's not happened. That's in the civil setting and in the personal injury setting, car accident type of case. Here in a criminal setting, we've got beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest type of burden that you can have, which means there's really no reason to believe or no reasonable doubt that this crime occurred as well. Now, when I used to do jury selection in these cases when I was a prosecutor, I always talk about reasonable doubt, and I would give an example. I would say, Okay, well, let me ask you a question. You've got the bailiff over there, right? He's got his uniform on.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his handcuffs. He's got his gun. He's got his badge. Now, is it possible that he's not really a bailiff? He's not really a police officer. Is it possible he ordered the uniform online, went to a gun store, got the gun, got the handcuffs? Is it possible?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But is that reasonable? No, that's not reasonable. And that's what you have to prove is it's reasonable to believe that he's a police officer, and that's the burden of proof that you have to prove in a criminal setting. And kind of going back to all of these things that are starting to stack up with this case, and as we're going to see, more and more things are likely going to start to point in the direction of his relationship potentially with Celeste.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fascinating to see.
I like that analogy. Now, obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with the family.
Absolutely.
Don't want to make light of that. But we'll continue to follow it here. And I hope you guys appreciate the content. We'll see you next Tuesday for episode 8 of Allegedly.